Hey, what's up friends? You got Gypsy back here today, bringing you my draft analysis for Season 6 of the NPL. I hope you guys are hyped because it's here and it's time. I know I'm very excited to bring you guys this video and I can't wait to get right into the NPL. So before I jump into the juicy draft, I just want to let you guys know about some changes that have happened in the NPL since I last uploaded one of these videos. Chief among which is the change in coaches actually. So this season we have said goodbye to a couple of coaches. So firstly, big shout out to my boy Matty Brolick. He has decided to take this season off and move into an analyst position. Not because he doesn't love the game or the format. You guys know Matty Brolick. He is one of the best draft players around, no question about it. The man is a god, and his life is just quite busy at the moment, and he just wanted to take a little back seat, and he'll be back in no time. I can guarantee you guys that. So big shout out to my boy Matty Brolick. We also say goodbye to Cheeseboy, who again in the same situation, just a very busy man. Life comes first. That's just how it works. But yeah, I'm sure Cheese will be back with us at some point in the future, no doubt. Then we say goodbye to Cypher. He wasn't really around in the NPL, to be honest. So yeah, no real sadness there. But all the best to you, man. Hope it all works out for you. But yeah, apart from that, that's basically it. I don't think I'm missing anyone. I could be wrong. I don't want to offend anyone if I have missed you, but basically, yeah, we said goodbye to some good people, but it's only temporary, and in their places we have taken on some new coaches. So just to kick things off, we have a guy who actually moved up from the minors into the majors. You've got Carney Hobo, a really good guy. I'm quite fond of Carney. He's a really nice guy, and he is the grass type lord. He's actually a monotype god, that man, and it's reflected in his draft. I won't say anything more than that. You guys can go and check that out for yourselves. But yeah, Carney, great guy. Pretty damn competent player too. He's impressed all of us up in the majors, enough to earn his spot in the NPL Season 6. So congrats to Carney. So the new coaches into the league. I'm going to start off with my boy Iron Flash Gaming, aka Anthony. You guys probably remember him from my channel. He's been on. I've had a few battles with him in my time. He's a friend of mine that I've had for a long time in when it comes to the Pokemon community, and yeah, we're often in the leagues together. The famous Lizard Squad, as we like to go by. He's a great guy, and that's pretty exciting that he's in our league because he offers a lot of competition and a lot of funny jokes, and he's just a cool guy to have around. So yeah, big congrats to Anthony for making it in. Next we got Muk, Mr. Murkro. Another cool dude from the draft community. He's actually winner of this GPC. Shout out to Anthony as well for winning the CPC. That was also a nice big achievement for him. And Merck has won the GPC this season, so that's pretty exciting. He's also a great tournament player in the draft format. So yeah, pretty exciting to have him around. We then have it's Gator. Gator, he's a pretty well-known YouTuber now. And he's performed quite well in the draft tournaments that we've had, hosted by the Turk minorities, and he's caught the eye of some of the guys. So yeah, he's made it in, which is pretty exciting, and I'm looking forward to facing him at some point in the season. And last but not least, we have Joey, or PokeMND, however you know him as. I'm sure you guys are all aware of Joey. You guys probably know that he's in the league by now, depending on what time this video goes up. But for any of my viewers who don't know, yep, we've got Pokemon joined our league. Pretty exciting. Yeah, we'll see how that all goes. Hopefully all the new coaches enjoy their time in the NPL. That's yeah, we all have a good season. So without further ado, I've rambled on for 4 minutes. Damn. I'm just gonna jump to my draft right here. As you guys can see, no guess as to what my first mon is that I drafted. It is none other than my love Mega Gardevoir. This thing has been probably one of my favorite mons in the league format for a long time now. It's got such a versatile move pool. It's obviously its special attack is out of this world. 165 with Pixelate. It's crazy. Has a pretty decent speed tier at 100. Has quite nice special bulk. has passable HP, very nice, utility options. But you guys have watched me long enough, you know how I feel about guard and the offers it has for team support, as well as just all out offense. So I'm not going to go too in depth into guard. I know the people who watch my videos are pretty informed when it comes to the capabilities of these mons. I've been drafting teams for a long time now on this channel, so I'm not going to pretend like you guys don't know your shit. So basically, yep, pretty nice. Guard is something that I really wanted, and I got it, so I'm very happy about that. Everyone knows that I like using guard, so yep, nothing too new there, but very happy to get it nonetheless. I know guard can put in a ton of work if played correctly. It's not an auto win button necessarily, because of the prevalence of steel types in the draft meta. And steel types have actually risen in sort of use, I guess you could say, this season, with more and more fairies being introduced in Generation 7. So the importance of having a solid steel type has skyrocketed, and as a result, steels are a pretty nice answer to guard. But that's okay, and we have a whole team for that, so it's the end of the world. And guard is still a fantastic one, even with the pixelate nerf. Pixelate losing its power by 10%. The bonus is now 1.2 as opposed to 1.3, which it wasn't ORS. To be honest, Pixelate Hyper Voice still guarantees the same OHKOs into Akira as it did prior to the nerf. The nerf really only targeted its viability in VGC, as opposed to singles format. So the next one I picked up was a mon that a trusty mon of mine, that Anthony knows I like to draft basically in every draft, and that is my boy Zapdos. Zapdos is one of the nicest, probably one of, if not the best, electric type in my opinion. I know people love the Thundies, but I do love the versatile roles that Zapdos can fulfill, being a mixed attacker, a special attacker, a nice bulky mon, a nice, especially a physically defensive set, as well being able to run like choice lock sets as well. Obviously it's a pretty nice defogger for my team. You guys saw how much work Zapdos put in last season in the NPL. Just a very nice glue to the team, a nice pivot mon, and a mon that is pretty hard to switch into offensively. Base 125 attack is no joke. Hits as hard as Hydreigon, to put that into perspective. A very nice mon, and I'm very, very glad I got it, because it is it does pair quite nicely with guard, being able to resist priority bullet punches and things of that nature. Being able to resist bird spam, which is key, even though bird spam won't be anywhere near as common in Gen 7 as it was in ORS. It is still a pretty nice mon to have on the team, and a mon that I like to fit on my team as a sort of glue in a defensive role. Next up, I drafted a mon that I've wanted to use for a while now in the NPL, and that is Matty Brolik's spirit animal, Infernape. So Infernape is one of the best, if not the best fire type in League format. Obviously Arcanine and Entei are both fantastic, but when it comes to versatility, when it comes to sort of the speed tiers, when it comes to attacking options, Infernape is second to none. This thing has access to Iron Fist. This thing's move pool is just insane. It can rocks, it can... I'm not gonna go into everything it can do, you guys know it, and I don't want to give away stuff, but yeah, this thing has just such a fantastic move pool with access to boosting options, coverage, just insane coverage. It's just a fantastic one, very nice to use. As I said, pretty nice speed tip, being able to outspeed those base 100s, and even stuff like base 105 mons, and stuff like guard jump. Very nice mon to have on the team. It's something that pairs quite nicely with guard, as its dual coverage can break down any steel type in the game, which can really free up guard to go to work essentially. So I'm very happy to have Nape. I feel as though it fits my building style quite nicely, as I do like to run some versatile sets, and Nape is the perfect man for the job essentially. So yeah, very happy to pick up Nape. Very happy indeed. The next one that I picked up in round 4 is going to probably strike you guys as quite an odd round 4 pick, but it's a mon that I really felt I could make a lot of work, that I could put a lot of work in with, and that is Dugtrio. Now Dugtrio, for those of you guys who aren't aware, actually received an attack buff this generation. bumping its attack stat up to a base 100. And while base 100 still seems, you know, quite lackluster, it's actually really solid in comparison to its previous attack stat. This new buff to its attack allows it to achieve Okos that it formerly could not. It allows it to even run a viable Scarf set, which it really failed at, to be honest, in the previous generation with its lower base attack. You know, base 100 attack is not that far off Infernape's attack, just to put that into perspective. And it has Stab EQ, which is 100 base power. Pretty nice. Dougie is obviously has the Arena Trap ability, which is very handy, especially when it comes to trapping steals for guard, as well as other threats. So yeah, Dugtrio is definitely an interesting mon in the format. I have seen people use it to relative success, but I don't know, I've yet to see people really abuse it to the fullest. So I'm hoping you know, to be able to do that this season, but time will tell. And obviously it gives me another rocker. Not the most reliable rocker in the world, given that it is so frail, but you know, a rocker nonetheless. It's always good to have more options. That is basically Dugtrio. There's nothing too crazy to go, too in depth to go in about it, but it does have some pretty interesting support options, as well as Stealth Rock with access to stuff like Memento. So yeah, it's not just setup fodder. For example, it can deter setup with stuff like Memento, gain momentum through that means as well. So a very nice mon, a very difficult mon, as it forces certain prep by the opposing teams, unless they do want their electrics trapped and things of that nature. So yeah, very nice mon to have, and just the psychological effect that it has on the opponent's building can really be a huge advantage as well. So the next mon that I picked up is a mon that actually gets a lot of hate in the format, but to the select few players who actually know the potential of this thing, this mon is amazing, and that is my boy Keldeo. You know, you guys may have seen me use it in the CPC. It just blasts through teams. You know, some people have this really naive notion in their head that Keldeo is bad in League format because it's one-dimensional. Like, yeah, you just gotta shake your head, because like, okay, like even if you predict what Keldeo does, like you know what it does in standard play. Like if you don't have a specs Keldeo switch in, like it doesn't matter if you know what it does. It still runs train through teams, and that's what the same can be said for draft format. However, I actually think in the draft format it can be even better, purely because it has a lot of options. Like when I say it has a lot of options, it's not versatile as something like Infernape, but it definitely does have options. Obviously, like it has Envy's Heat, like SD physical set is definitely an option, but you know, in the CPC I actually faced the Toxic Store, Toxic Protect sub Laddie, sub Keldeo to take on my Mega Latias, which is a very interesting set. Shardy's put in good work with it in the, I think it was the GPC that he used it. I could be wrong, maybe one of his other leagues. But the PPL, one of those two, he's put in good work with it, hence the nickname. Shout outs to Shardy, go check him out. Yeah, Keldeo is another very nice one. Has a really nice special attack stat, as you guys can see, essentially on par with Latios. A very nice 108 base speed tier, so yeah, obviously Infernape and Keldeo hitting that nice speed tier, outspeeding base 100s, and those low base 100 plus speed mons such as Garchomp and things of that nature. It does have surprisingly decent bulk for such an offensive mon as Keldeo. It you know, it's got a very nice HP stat. It's got very solid 90-90 defenses. This thing is nothing to sleep on when it comes to a defensive one, let me tell you. I have faced defensive Keldeo in draft, and it is a pain to take down. So Keldeo, very happy to get that, as it does help me break down steals, as well as fat physical mons for the rest of my team. The next mon on my team, I wanted to draft. It's Gen 7. I wasn't going to go my whole draft without picking up a nice mon from Alola. And that is none other than my boy Alolan Muk, aka JME, the King of Grime. We have Alolan Muk here. A very nice Poison Dark typing, you know, only shared by the likes of Drapion and Skuntank. This thing is very nice. So you guys can see its HP stat is pretty nice and high, 105. Getting that nice 101 subs if I ever get to the situation where I need to do that. You've got a pretty nice special defense stat, making it a very viable Assault Vest user combined with its solid attacks at a 105. It has access to boosting sets with Curse and things like that. It has pretty decent coverage. Obviously, Poison Touch is a very nice option, having basically a Skull chance, Skull Burn chance, except with Poison. When I make contact, it's actually going to be a pretty versatile mon, and I'm really feeling as though it's going to fulfill some nice roles on my team. I'm not going to go into them too much, but yeah, it's a pretty nice mon to pair with the rest of my current team, and it's a Gen 7 mon, so I had to pick up one sooner or later. So yeah, that's essentially Muk. I'm not going to go too into detail about it. You guys know what it does. I'm sure you guys have been messing around with its Alolan form on the ladder and such. It's a pretty nice mon. You know, base 50 speed is pretty slow as well, but it actually, when invested, can outspeed uninvested base 60s. As you guys can see, it can actually run. Actually, as funny as it sounds, it can run a pretty fast attacking set. If it ever comes to that. Pretty nice mon overall, with very nice bulk, and even investing defensively, this thing can actually tank hits quite well. Just that nice mixed bulk. But that's it for Muk. We're going to jump into the second end of my draft, and I'll be back in 1 second. Alright guys, so we are back, and the next one I decided to draft was Empoleon. I felt as though I needed a nice fairy. Dragon Resist, I wanted a secondary form of Defog, and I wanted a nice ice resistance and a water resistance. Obviously I'm starting to stack ground weaknesses at this point, but never fear, that's why we've got the rest of our picks. So Empoleon is a very interesting one. I sort of have a love-hate relationship with this thing. I see the potential this thing can have, but I also see it wasted a lot. I also see it used very poorly in draft, and its full potential is rarely realized. I've used it in the past, and I have not used it well, but I really feel as though I've picked up a thing or two over the years, and I have an idea of how to make this thing work. And this thing really does appreciate a solid defensive core to back it. Having key resistances, stuff like ground types and fighting types, as well as electric types, is key for Empoleon to really shine. Because it does have amazing resistances, really useful resistances in the form of ice, water. Immune to poison, resist fairy, dragon, really neutral to grass because of its steel typing, and yeah, very nice mon overall. I feel as though it's versatile in the sense that it can be like an offensive or a defensive defog set. It has mixed options as well, which is quite nice. It's a nice defiant user if I want to run like a physical defog deterrent set. But as I said, basically defog, its own defog is pretty key, and it's a very interesting mon, and one that I really intend on kind of restoring its honor in the format if possible. So I'm not making any promises, but I know Empoleon is actually quite good when played right and supported properly. So the next mon I picked was a mon that I really like. It's a mon that I really like, but it's a mon that I haven't had a chance to use yet in the draft format. It gives me a ground immunity, and it provides me with a much needed fighting type switch in, and that is Uxie. Uxie is a tank. Uxie is a massive tank. These defensive stats are just off the charts, base 130s in both, with a pretty solid HP stat. It's got a cleric. It's got cleric options in heal bell. You can set rocks, U-turn. It's got boosting options, but boosting Uxies. Yeah, boosting Uxies is pretty interesting. You never know, but essentially its coverage is actually quite good. Unfortunately, it lacks the initial offensive power that would really appreciate like a boosting set. But the fact that it is so fat means that's always an option, and the coverage is there if I do want to ever run an offensive Uxie. But yeah, Uxie does have a lot of potential. Its move pool is reasonably vast, with a lot of nice utility options. And yeah, it's going to be a very nice glue to the team, as I said. It gives me a pretty nice answer to a lot of the weaknesses currently inherent in my team. And just the fact that it is so bulky means that even if it doesn't resist a threat, I can still essentially switch it in because it is so fat. It can tank hits, gain momentum, cripple opponents with status, things of that nature. So yeah, definitely Uxie is a mon that I was happy to pick up. Next, I wanted a bulky grass type. I actually got sniped. I got sniped a ton in this draft. I think I got sniped like 7 times all up, which isn't too bad. It happens. Like, it's not the end of the world. But the next one I ended up settling for was I wanted a bulky grass. I originally wanted Tangrowth, but it was sniped pretty close to me. But that's understandable. Tangrowth is a god, and it rarely lasts long. But the mon that I picked next is actually Shaymin. If you guys, I don't know how many viewers were watching me back when I started, but my very first upload was in the CBC Offseat tournament, when I inherited the worst team you could possibly imagine, made by someone who didn't know how to draft. I inherited this team. I got to make a couple of changes. After I made the changes, the team was still straight arse. It was the shittest team I've ever seen in my life, but we made it work. We actually went undefeated in the winners bracket until we got to finals. But my grass type on that team was actually Shaymin, and I really didn't like Shaymin then, and I don't particularly love it now, but I really do feel as though with the defensive core that is inherent on this team, it's going to put in a ton more work than it did back then. Although Shaymin was a god in that off-season tournament, I gave it a lot of shit, but on the real, it was actually a beast. And Shaymin is a pretty nice mon. Obviously, having that pixie stat distribution, having natural cure means that it can run, a pretty nice gold switching set, a pretty nice status absorber, even like a life orb breast variant. Abusing the natural cure upon switching out is definitely viable. Its move pool is pretty barren, but in saying that, the fact that it does have access to Healing Wish, which is very nice for me, as well as Sub-Leech Seed set is pretty painful to deal with. Tailwind is pretty decent, but this thing is relatively it's not one-dimensional, but in terms of being able to be like the most versatile mon in the world, Shaymin doesn't really fit that role. But what it does fit is the bulky grass type and the status absorber, which is actually really nice to have on a team, because status in the draft format is pretty brutal, if I'm honest. If you don't have a nice heal bella, and your team relies on switching around a lot into defensive checks, if they start to get crippled and worn down with status, it can be a real damper on your team's longevity when it comes to those longer battles. So having a mon that can comfortably tank status is definitely nice. The next mon I picked is a mon that I really wanted to try for a long time now. My boy Matty used it last season in the NPL. He used it to great success, actually. Matty is the only person I've ever seen use this mon well in the draft format, and that is Dragonite. Dragonite is a very interesting one. Dragonite, you could argue that Dragon's viability has dropped even lower since more fairies entered the meta, but Dragonite in the draft format is actually pretty interesting. It does have just beautiful coverage across the board, because it is a dragon type. Dragons typically get amazing coverage. All the elements essentially. It gets stuff like T-Wave. Its physical move pool is fantastic too. It's got really nice support options. It's actually a heal bell user as well. It's got Attract, Shout Out, Jolt. It's got very nice options to back it up, and that's not even taking into consideration this thing's stats. These stats are just godly. Like, its bulk is insane, not to mention multi-scale when it's at full, so it can live even super effective hits that would otherwise kill it when it's at full, because multi-scale halves the damage, for those who may not know. A very nice mon, a very fun mon, and a mon that I'm hoping to put in the work with. It's not the best dragon in the format, I'll give you that. It's definitely not, but it's definitely a fun mon, and I see a lot of potential in this. As I said, Matty used it quite well last season, and he kind of made the case for Dragonite as being a real threat in the format, but it obviously is quite matchup reliant. In certain matchups, Dragonite will be threatened offensively by the opponent's team. At other times it will be able to run train. So the last one on my team is a, as I said, I was sniped a lot in this draft. I didn't actually get the last one that I wanted, but there was another one on the board, another Gen 7 one that I thought was pretty interesting. I was looking over this thing's stats, its move pool, and yeah, I was quite intrigued, and I figured that it was either now or never, so I may as well pick it up and give it a try, and that is Golisopod. Golisopod, its shiny form is actually clean, by the way. Look at this shiny, it's just, I like it. It's a very interesting mon. It's a very interesting mon. It's extremely bulky on the physical side, with 140 essentially Skarmory level defense. This thing is very fat. With 90 Spidef, with Keldeo Spidef, it's a viable Assault Vest user as well. The really interesting drawing card about this mon is its ability Emergency Exit. This is definitely an interesting ability when it's it switches out when it reaches half health or less. So a lot of people think this mon is awful because of its ability. However, they fail to realize the strategic elements of this ability. This ability, when used properly, can actually be deadly. So I'm not going to say too much about it, but it's definitely food for thought. This mon has access to tons of priority, and actually it's not showing up right now. Alright, there we go. So as you guys can see here, Golisopod has access to multiple forms of priority, with First Impression actually being the strongest form of priority in the game, barring Talonflame's Brave Bird at full HP is still the strongest hit, but apart from that, Brave Bird First Impression from Golisopod is the strongest actual priority move in the game, so that's pretty interesting. Of course, it acts like a fake out essentially. You can only use it the first turn of the game, but it doesn't flinch. However, it has 90 base power coming off Golisopod's 125 base attack, so that's comparable attack to something like Heracross. That's really solid. A really powerful attacker. Something not to be slept on, certainly. As you guys can see, if I run like an Adamant Nature on it, this thing is hitting hard. This thing is hitting hard. It's a very interesting one. I'm not going to go too deep into what it could potentially do, because you want to keep some things hidden for the actual season. But yeah, definitely an interesting one. Definitely something fun to play around with. And even if it is garbage, at least I will have had a chance to have some fun with it. But I am expecting it to put in a little bit of work. So that is my draft, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I know I'm very excited for the season, and yeah, I'm very looking forward to bringing you guys the matches as they come. I believe our first upload will be going up on the 26th of December, I think. It could be the day after Christmas or something like that. So I hope you guys are pumped. If you are, I would appreciate if you guys leave a like, and let me know what you guys thought of my draft and the team. The ones I've drafted, I know it's a little different to the team I drafted last season, but yeah, we like to mix things up and keep it interesting. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on how you felt I drafted and how you feel the team is going to go. Yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate all the views and likes I'm getting on my videos. It is very touching. It means a lot, and yeah, it is really good motivation for me to keep going forward and keep making more. So I do appreciate that once again. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.